The Faces of Belmez. In August 1971, a woman named Maria Gomez Camara noticed a stain on her concrete kitchen floor in the small Spanish town of Belmez de la Moraleda. Over the following days, the stain shaped itself into what looked unmistakably like a human face. Her husband and son destroyed it with a pickaxe and relaid the floor with fresh concrete. Within weeks, a new face appeared in the same spot. The local mayor ordered the floor dug up. Workers found human bones buried several feet below the surface, placed there long before the house existed. The bones were removed and the floor was repoured, but the faces returned again. Some that had been painted over re-emerged through the new paint. Spanish chemists analyzed the concrete and found no evidence of paint, dye, or any external substance added to the surface. Independent investigators reported the faces appeared to change expression over time, shifting from what looked like a smile to something more pained across the span of months. When part of the floor was sealed under glass with no outside access, the face underneath still changed. Scientists said the original stain was caused by minerals leaking through old concrete, which is a known thing that can happen. But they could not explain the reappearance through brand new floors, the apparent changes in expression, or why new faces kept forming after the original floor had been entirely replaced. The Taos Hum. In the early 1990s, residents of Taos, a small, quiet town in northern New Mexico, started complaining about a sound. Not a loud sound, a low, non-stop humming sound, like a diesel engine running somewhere nearby, except there was no engine at all. And the sound continued non-stop from morning until late at night. People said it was driving them crazy. It caused headaches and disturbed sleep, leaving some residents barely able to function. The strange part was that only about 2% of people in town could hear it at all. 2 people could stand in the same room, and the noise would torment one, while the other would hear complete silence. The complaints grew loud enough that the US government launched a formal investigation. In 1993, scientists from Los Alamos National Laboratory and Sandia National Laboratories arrived with acoustic sensors, seismographs, and electromagnetic detectors. They monitored the area while residents were actively reporting the sound. They found nothing. No unusual acoustic signal, no seismic source, nothing electromagnetic. The hum was real to the people experiencing it and invisible to every instrument brought to find it. No explanation was ever confirmed. The Taos hum has never gone away, and similar unexplained hums have been reported in Bristol, England, Largs, Scotland, Kokomo, Indiana, and dozens of other locations worldwide. Scientists still do not agree on what causes any of them. Skyquakes. In November 2017, people across 15 counties in Alabama were shocked by one huge explosion-like sound that shook windows and led to hundreds of emergency calls. The National Weather Service checked for storms, lightning, or fires, but found nothing. The United States Geological Survey found no earthquake. NASA confirmed the sound was not caused by a meteor. Nobody could explain what caused it. They called it the Bama Boom and moved on. But the Bama Boom was not unique. These events, called skyquakes, have been reported around the world for centuries. Near Seneca Lake in New York, they are called Seneca guns. In Belgium, mist poffers. In Bangladesh, barisal guns. In Japan, uminari, meaning cries from the sea. In 1850, James Fenimore Cooper wrote about hearing the sounds at Seneca Lake. He said they sounded like heavy cannons firing and could not be explained by any known laws of nature. Between 2013 and 2015, a team from the University of North Carolina deployed 400 atmospheric sensors across coastal North Carolina, cross-referencing every recorded boom with seismic data and radar. They found no earthquakes, no aircraft activity, no atmospheric event that matched the sounds. Scientists believed the booms came from the atmosphere, but they could not figure out what was causing them. Some theories say they were caused by meteors exploding above the clouds, gas escaping from the ocean floor, or tiny earthquakes too weak to detect. But none of these ideas explains why these strange sky booms have been heard in so many countries for hundreds of years, even before supersonic planes existed. Havana Syndrome. In late 2016, American and Canadian diplomats at the US Embassy in Havana started waking up at night from a sharp sound that seemed to come from inside their heads. They described it as a grinding, chirping, or clicking noise that seemed to come from one specific spot in a room and stopped the moment they moved away from it. The diplomats developed severe headaches, vertigo, nausea, and sudden hearing loss. Some experienced cognitive impairment that lingered for months. CIA officers then reported identical symptoms in Moscow hotel rooms, then in London, Vienna, Guangzhou, and Uzbekistan. A National Security Council staffer collapsed near the White House gates, convinced he was dying. By 2023, about 1,500 US government workers in many different countries had reported the same group of strange symptoms. In 2020, the National Academy of Sciences said the most likely explanation was a directed microwave-like energy weapon that could target people through walls. But in early 2024, two major NIH studies scanned the brains of affected patients and found no detectable physical damage, no consistent injury, no biological marker, nothing on an MRI that explained the suffering people reported. No country has been officially blamed, no weapon has been identified, and no scientific consensus on what is happening to these people has been reached. The symptoms are real. The cause is not known. The placebo effect. Almost everyone has heard about the placebo effect. A patient takes a sugar pill thinking it is real medicine, and their symptoms actually get better. Most people think this is just because the person believes it will work. But what scientists discovered in the last 20 years is much stranger. In 2010, a researcher from Harvard Medical School named Ted Kapchuk did an experiment with patients who had irritable bowel syndrome. The patients were given placebo pills in bottles that clearly had the word placebo written on them. The doctors directly told the patients that the pills had no real medicine inside. Even after knowing the pills were fake, many patients still got noticeably better compared to the group that received nothing at all. People were improving even while fully aware they were taking fake pills. In other studies, researchers tested fake surgeries. Doctors made small cuts on patients and stitched them back up without doing the real operation. Even though no actual surgery was done, the patient's knee pain improved just as much as the people who received the real surgery. Some pain studies found something even stranger. The pain relief from placebos completely stopped when patients were given a drug that blocks opioid effects. This suggested that the placebo was causing the body to create its own real pain-killing chemicals. In other words, the brain was physically making its own medicine simply because the person expected relief. Scientists still do not fully understand how this works. They do not know why some people react very strongly to placebos, while others do not react at all. They also do not know why the effect can sometimes last for months, or why a person can still have a real physical response even after being told the treatment is completely fake. The Pioneer Anomaly. In 1972 and 1973, NASA launched two spacecraft called Pioneer 10 and Pioneer 11, sending them on paths that would carry them out of the solar system entirely. Both crafts performed as expected for decades. Then scientists noticed something wrong with the math. Both spacecraft slowly drifted off their expected path, as if a small invisible force was constantly pulling them back toward the sun, and scientists could not explain why. It became known as the Pioneer Anomaly, and for over 30 years it was considered one of the most troubling unsolved problems in physics. Some researchers believed it might be evidence of a gap in our understanding of gravity itself, a crack in the foundation of Newtonian physics. The mystery was finally solved in 2012, when researchers found that heat from the spacecraft's electrical systems was creating a tiny push, slowly moving the spacecraft with its own warmth. It was a good explanation, but there was still a problem. To figure it out, scientists had to rebuild the original spacecraft designs from scratch because the spacecraft had been launched 40 years earlier. Even then, the heat explanation still does not fully explain every part of the strange movement. Some researchers believe it explains most of the mystery, but not all of it. A tiny unexplained difference still remains.